From the combined resources of its regional newsrooms across the country, this is WIN's All Australian News.
Hello and welcome to WIN's All Australian News. I'm Christina Prentoska. Scammers are getting active and picking off their victims amid the latest COVID-19 crisis.
Queensland's covert crooks, hiding behind a computer screen, stealing everything from your money to your identity.
They operate their businesses like a real business, so they have a team that's trying to work out what's the likely successful scam to run at this point in time.
LinkedIn, the latest platform to be targeted, with 92% of users' data, including email and physical addresses, full names and phone numbers, now up for sale on the dark net.
You can use that to effectively profile someone and build their identity.
Shockingly, 62% of Queenslanders have either been scammed themselves or know someone else who has been scammed.
Losing almost $20 million to scams already this year.
People are receiving, voice messages alluding to be law enforcement or the ATO or somebody else, and preying on fear.
And experts are warning the situation could escalate as these criminals hone in on our COVID-19 vaccination program.
They will start to position either an opportunity for you to shortcut the queue or to get the vaccine personally. We've actually seen people selling the actual vaccines on the darknet.
And in an even bigger threat to public health,
we're seeing instances where people can buy effectively a card to say you've been vaccinated. Cybercrime
experts urging Queenslanders to be on alert.
If you do receive a phone call, it's also a great idea to hang up and call the organisation that is calling you back directly, just to verify the authenticity of that call.
And if you think you might have handed over sensitive information to these coercive crims,
immediately contact your bank, because the sooner they know about this potential fraudulent activity, the sooner they can take action on your behalf and try and protect you.
Bridget O'Brien, WIN News.
It's been a very different day for families on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland with the snap lockdown in place.
Day one of the
cost of the lockdown is being put at millions of dollars for businesses in far north Queensland.
Millions of dollars lost in an instant. The tourism industry's hopes of a bumper winter season dashed.
We're looking away to raise money for mental health.
Completing a 42-kilometre marathon, Jed Zimmer's raising awareness for mental health, an issue close to his heart.
Since opening up, I've had friends, family members all come up to me.
A community mover and shaker in the New South Wales Illawarra and Shoalhaven is stepping down to focus on a serious health issue.
Taking a stand for his beloved Sanctuary Point, or Sanger as he calls it.
The project's still going through an environmental effects statement, and the final route of the 190-kilometre power lines won't be known until the end of the year.
This corridor is, in various places as wide as 4.5 kilometres, and we've still got a lot to explore.
But the community is not backing down.
We know there are thousands of people that are affected by this, and we continue to build momentum.
Geordie Wright, WIN News.
New research shows how a disease is costing the beef industry in Queensland.
A deadly disease hurting Queensland's cattle industry, often hiding in plain sight.
Unfortunately, there aren't really any symptoms in livestock. It's a silent disease.
Hydatid disease caused by tapeworm eggs is taking a huge bite out of profits. The impact's only identified after slaughter.
Financial loss to abattoirs was around $95,000 a year to the one abattoir that we looked at.
New research from Charles Sturt University revealing just how common it is.
We found that prevalence of hydatid disease is much higher than we thought it was, and it's much more widespread than we thought it would be. Prevalence in abattoirs is around 9%, but we actually found that it's a bit underreported in abattoirs, and it's actually probably more around 30%.
I travel a fair bit around Queensland, trucking cattle around, and I haven't seen anything or heard of anything.
And it's easily passed on to humans.
Humans can become infected from this disease. So it's really important that if people do have hydatid infected cattle, that they're vigilant to the fact that they might have domestic dogs that are infected or wild dogs that might be affected around their property.
While there's no cure, it's preventable.
Key one is deworming dogs with a product called praziquantel, and that's got to be given monthly.
Regina Lovick, Win News.
A junior beef education program is returning to Rocky in central Queensland.
Junior beef is back.
Last year we actually moved out to Paradise Lagoons and had it in September because of COVID, and the way things are going now, I'm hoping it still stays open for this week.
More than 100 kids from New South Wales right up to North Queensland learning everything they need to know about beef. Numbers finally solid, with attendance previously dropping well below 90 due to COVID.
We are learning about all things beef.
It's not about actually judging cattle, it's about, getting here and getting some social skills and getting on a microphone. We're doing some stock handling training here. We do some MSA and some meat cooking. We've got some nutritionists here from the DPI talking about nutrition.
Learning about nutrition, rearing and even how to cook the perfect steak.
I really like the nutrition because I learnt a lot about the cattle and how I could use that in the future in the cattle business and how I could know what to do with the cattle.
Proving even after 31 years, the program is vital for the future of the industry.
My family, we're a cattle family, so we love beef, and this is all helping me because I want to be a next gen, I want to take over the business when I'm older.
A lot of our older kids that have finished the school have gone on to get university degrees in ag and business, and some of those kids are coming back and helping us run the event now, which is pretty gratifying.
Regina Lovick, Win News.
We'll be back shortly with more of Win's All Australian News. New research shows the state of play for social housing right across the country.
A mixed bag from the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare.
While there's been an increase in the number of social housing dwellings across Australia, there has actually been a decrease in the proportion of social households as a proportion of all households in Australia.
There are more than 400,000 social housing dwellings across Australia, with less than a third of those outside major cities.
Social housing in Australia includes public housing dwellings, community housing dwellings, state-owned and managed Indigenous housing dwellings, and Indigenous community housing.
Welfare experts are concerned by the report.
We're not seeing the kinds of growth in social housing that we need to see. What is most important for us is that there is just more social housing.
Advocates calling on governments to invest both in public housing and community housing projects.
They have lots of shovel-ready projects to roll out very quickly so that we can increase the numbers of houses that are available.
They say it's not just about helping the community, but boosting the economy as well.
We know that for every $1 million invested in social housing, there's a return to the economy of $1.3 million.
Eliza Watson, Win News.
An export ban on sending mixed plastics overseas for recycling is now in effect, but it could see recyclable items sent to landfill.
A ban on waste material exports starts tomorrow nationwide. It means Australia's waste can no longer be sent offshore to countries like China and Indonesia for processing.
One of the main things is that we reduce the amount of plastic that's created. So the plastic packaging in numerous forms.
Sustainability experts say these hardline policies are integral for driving important change toward building a nation more focused on renewables.
We want to see and grow and develop our resource recovery here in Australia. So it provides the right framework for us to invest more in enhancing our sorting capacity and also building more secondary processing facilities.
They're also suggesting the shift offers regional areas an opportunity to step up and become industry leaders, but government support will be needed.
The case of having to truck the waste from the recycled material from regional areas to perhaps a metropolitan area. But then again, we could set up a recycling facility here.
And experts say as industries shift to dealing with waste material domestically, thousands of jobs will be created across Victoria in line with new demand for waste and recycling handling.
There is an opportunity to grow, increase the number of jobs by 10,000 or more.
Genevieve Lamond, Win News.
The sod has been turned on the nation's first wind turbine training tower in regional Victoria.
The almost $2 million project will provide training to work in the wind industry.
It's absolutely fantastic that we've been able to work with government and industry to be able to pull this together as a first for Australia.
Construction started today on the first stage of the Asia Pacific Renewable Energy Training Centre.
A tower that will be built that will provide the basis of practical training for the workforce in wind farms. Not just safety training, but a whole range of aspects that go to the heart of what is needed by industry.
It's a partnership between Federation TAFE and the renewable energy industry.
They've developed that further and been very resolute in wanting to be the country's first in terms of providing a renewable energy training hub.
Qualified electricians, mechanical fitters and automotive technicians will be able to retrain to work in the industry.
Those people that have already got trade qualifications can actually come in here having a very intensive course and then become qualified in wind farms.
Construction of the wind turbine tower is set to finish later this year, with stage 2 of the project to commence in 2022. The next phase offers further training, including turbine maintenance and repair. Manisha Swaran, Win News.
We caught up with Victorian farmers who have been benefiting from carbon money under the federal government's Emissions Reduction Fund.
You don't need to tell farmers the climate's changing. They're living it every day.
A lot of farmers are recognising that.
Station in Western New South Wales.
More than 1,000 farmers have taken up the initiative since it was first launched 10 years ago. And the industry roadmap projects the sector will soon be worth more than $20 billion in carbon project revenue.
Danielle Pope, Win News.
This is Win's All Australian News.
Strathbogie Shire Council in northern Victoria has released its budget with cash splashed on footpaths, a splash park and recreational spaces.
Strathbogie residents will cop a 1.5% increase on their rates and waste charges.
Calm it down and manage the traffic.
Head online for more info. Emma Groves, Win News.
A Western Victorian pharmacy group has donated money to Uniting Ballarat to assist with an emergency relief program for people in crisis across the region.
Uniting's welcomed the boost after a surge in the number of people needing help since the pandemic.
Just with Uniting alone, just in emergency relief, our numbers have doubled. I also know within our housing area and mental health, it's at some points tripled.
The sizable donation from UFS Pharmacies has gone towards providing non-perishable goods for people in need of emergency relief.
We go for mostly staple items that you see in everyone's pantry. We also encourage fresh produce as well.
UFS has given record donations in the last year of $100,000 towards emergency relief, food, basic supplies, because we're in extraordinary circumstances.
Both organisations have teamed up and are appealing to the federal government for an increase in job seeker rates.
We really need the job seeker income support payment raised by at least $100 a week. This is a health issue. For us, it's a really important health issue.
And community help's always welcome.
So we can always use more volunteers within Uniting all over.
Right to the Federal Treasurer, right to the Prime Minister, right to the Minister for Social Security, and ask for a decent living income for people on income support.
Manisha Swaran, Win News.
Bendigo's swap meet in central Victoria has been cancelled for the second year in a row amid ongoing border uncertainties.
From antiques to old car parts, every year tens of thousands flock to town to find themselves a bargain at the annual Bendigo swap meet. But eager buyers now have to wait a bit longer. This year's event's been cancelled amid border uncertainty.
The last thing we want to do is put it on and people feel compelled to come and use their site, or they might miss out on it in the future. And then they're suffering a fortnight's quarantine and they might be off farms and they've got animals to look after and things like that.
Almost 1,500 stalls and sellers come from all over Australia to the Prince of Wales Showground every November, injecting $4 million into the local economy.
There are many sectors impacted, such as accommodation, restaurants, attractions,
and really it does have a huge effect across the economy.
It's also a major revenue earner for the Show Society.
We have a lot of our regular market traders that rely on the swap meet event.
While the Sheep and Wool Show will still go ahead next month, organisers say it's not possible to deliver the larger swap meet in line with COVID restrictions. One of the city's biggest draw cards, the committee hopes to make next year's events bigger and better, but in the meantime is hoping to hold smaller state-run events to help recoup some of the losses.
We need to get back to the school fetes and the Rotary Club things and all that and just help out.
Grace Aiken, Win News.
Snow sports champions are attending an intensive training program at the Snowy Mountains Grammar School.
Off to a flying start. Students at the Elite Snow Sports Academy in Jindabyne have an intense few months ahead.
We are able to offer them a full load of schooling as well as 5 days, sometimes 6, training on the snow.
In winter I train maybe 40 days on snow, like around every competition.
We do our training and we come back and we do from 4 till 6 our academics.
The program welcomes a vast range of disciplines, including
ski across, alpine, moguls, freestyle, slopestyle kids, board across and snowboard slope.
And there's no shortage of talent.
We have kids who may have never had any formal on-snow training before. They already ski at quite a high level, right the way through to students representing Australia at the Youth Olympic Games.
The aspect of team that ESA has it's like a big family.
The program's tougher than your average school timetable, but for the athletes, it's all worth it.
It's been pretty challenging for me, especially coming into the later years of schooling, but I keep on going and trying and doing whatever I can to succeed.
A dedicated cohort working hard to make their dreams their profession.
That's one of my big goals and dreams, and I hope I get there one day.
Hopefully Beijing 2022 is in my sights.
Eliza Watson, Win News.
We'll be back in a moment with more of WIN's All Australian News on the issues facing regional Australians. The Sunshine Coast Lightning has relocated from southeast Queensland to Melbourne to ensure Round 9 can go ahead for Super Netball.
In the early hours of this morning, the Lightning scrambled to get out of the Sunshine Coast and southeast Queensland. The power brokers of Super Netball say they'll be based in Victoria for at least the next fortnight. In a statement today, Lightning CEO Lennox Smith acknowledged other clubs that have had to relocate throughout this pandemic, saying now it is our turn to go above and beyond for the sport we love so much. This weekend's game against the Vixens has officially been moved to John Cain Arena. It comes just a day after the Melbourne Storm left the region to return to Victoria.
Coming back, I think most people were quite happy about that. Obviously, it was a really rushed decision, I suppose.
For local elite and professional athletes, Queensland Sport has specified that training may occur without spectators and physical distancing observed to the extent possible. All other lockdown restrictions must still be observed at all times. The restrictions will be reviewed on Friday, so at this stage, most local community sporting fixtures will be going ahead this weekend until stated otherwise.
We'll monitor very closely and we'll see what the Premier has to say about that. But look, it's fingers crossed.
Seb Higgins, George, Win News.
To the New South Wales South Coast to meet a young surfer on the way to the big time.
There's no two ways about it. Lennox Smith carved up at the Tweed Coast Junior Pro.
The competition's on like another level, so I had to step it up big time.
And step up the 16-year-old did, winning in his first WSL level event.
I was just trying to take it like heat by heat, and getting through the first few heats was so nerve-wracking, but then to get to the quarterfinals, and then I started gaining more confidence.
The victory has the boy from Barrack Point hungry for more success.
Hopefully I compete in a few more of the Pro Junior events coming at the end of the year if COVID doesn't get too bad.
Coaches at Illawarra Sports High have high hopes for their star pupil, for if he can continue his meteoric success at WSL Pro Junior level, he could be fast-tracked to the big stage.
Griffin Colapinta and Ethan Ewan did it that way. They did good in World Juniors, skipped the lower qualifying events, went straight into the big ones, qualified for the tour in a year or two.
The championship tour remains the ultimate goal, That and following in the footsteps of Owen Wright and Sally Fitzgibbons by representing the South Coast and Australia at the Olympics.
Being able to qualify for Australia for the Olympics would be pretty special. I feel like the next Olympics would definitely be a big goal of mine, for sure.
Corey Hammond, WE News.
The Canberra Raiders rugby league team have made another important signing.
Locked in until the end of 2024. Semi Valemay all smiles this morning after becoming the third youngster this week to recommit to the Raiders long term.
Really excited to sign again with this great club. Obviously the playing group and the staff, they're really good for the last 3 years.
Players may be back in the NRL bubble, but spirits were high in Braddon this morning. Jack Whiten cleared to rejoin the squad after returning a negative COVID test. Josh Papali'i also back on deck for Saturday's clash against the Titans, while Jared Croker will make his first appearance after 9 weeks on the sidelines.
I'm absolutely stoked for Skip. He obviously can't buy experience. You know, he's one of the most experienced players not only in the Raiders but in the competition.
Saturday's showdown will be a special one for Rapana, who'll bring up his 150th match, 14 seasons after he first debuted.
I've been a roundabout way to get there, but yeah, I'm glad it's finally come around.
He won't be the only milestone man. Sam Williams will bring up a century of NRL games, while Ryan Sutton lines up for his 50th in Canberra colours. Caitlin Chalmers, WE News.
It's do or die on Saturday for the Southwest Queensland Thunder men in a top-of-the-table clash with their new rivals, Brisbane City.
Their last 2 games have been decided by just 1 goal. Both times Brisbane City have broken the hearts of the Southwest Queensland Thunder.
To Reeves with the strike, and Reeves with the goal makes it 3-2.
But one thing the Thunder have learned is that they can match it with the best in the comp.
From deep, and it'll make its way into the top corner.
They're definitely the team we're striving to beat this year. We came close in the Cup and fell short in the 88th minute, but we should give them a good run on the weekend.
The Thunder's Will Orford was huge in the Cup clash with an assist and a goal. But when former Brisbane Roar captain Matty Smith came onto the field for City, he changed the game.
It's something different playing against the boys that played for Roar. Probably less so the second time around because you've done it once and you realise that they aren't actually that much better.
Brisbane City haven't dropped a point in 11 games this year. They also have a game in hand over the Thunder and are 6 points clear of them on the ladder, making this game absolutely crucial.
Yeah, we've just about got finals wrapped up. So now we're just looking to push for promotion. Obviously have to beat City on the weekend and hope they drop a few points.
The Thunder ladies also face the #1 team in their competition. Captain Geordie Frank plays against her old club Lions, who are unbeaten in the NPLW.
They've been playing really well this season as a team, so once again I think it's going to be really difficult to break them down.
Lions won the last clash between these 2 teams 4-0, but thankfully the Thunder should have all troops on deck for their toughest task of the season.
This weekend I think we should have our 100% back, hopefully. Maddie's still out with an ankle, so hopefully she can recover this weekend and show up on Saturday.
That match kicks off at 4:45 on Saturday afternoon, while the men's match is at 6 that night. Both games are in Brisbane. Ted Roker, WE News.
Thanks for your company this Wednesday, June 30. A new affiliation agreement is in place between the WIN Network and Nine. That means you can stay tuned to enjoy our live coverage from Wimbledon. In the morning, you'll catch all your favourite Nine programs right here on channels 8 and 80, starting with the Today Show from 5:30am and Today Extra at 9am. You'll still be able to see all your local news in WIN News at the new time of 5:30pm, followed by 9 News and a current affair at 7pm. We look forward to your company. Good night, and now it's over to Wimbledon.
This has been a WIN News presentation from the WIN Network, Australia's largest regional television network.